they confusing you physically and mentally, right? They messing up your hormones and they messing up your mind. I talked to a woman yesterday that had abnormally high testosterone, and then a man who had abnormally low testosterone, right? And so he had higher estrogen levels, right? And her estrogen levels were lower. And so what we need to understand is like this is by design, right? The way they manipulating the structure of the food, the water, shoot. I mean, it might even come to pass that we find out that there's it's in the air, but we know factually that it's in the food and it's in the water. Now, the images that we see on the television, it play with our mind to make us think that there's no difference between man and woman. Yet we know that's false, right? From a physical aspect, the woman, she got different stuff down below than the man. From the physical aspect, she is able to nurture children with life essence, right? With the breast milk, right? And physically you see those breasts, right? And you see the hips, all these different things. And then men, they typically, have more muscles. Now I see that a lot of these women that they got real buff. I mean, they cut up and shredded, and they real muscular and they tone. And I remember, that movie Tina Turner when Angela Bassett, she was shredded. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, she was ripped. And but it was no question that was a woman. She's a woman. And what we're doing today is you see like men, they developing qualities of women as far as they seem to be getting more and more breast. Like, you know what I mean? Like they starting to protrude out more. And even like it's kind of weird. My brother-in-law was talking to my little nephew who told him like we was out of line in my younger days where I used to wear 2 and 3X shirts. I mean, it looked like I was a hanger, basically. I mean, I was wearing a dress or something like that. Big old 36, 38 jeans, and I had to have a belt. And, it'd be all bunched up. But, the new generation, they done took it to the next extreme where they wearing tights. You know what I'm saying? Man, be wearing tights with them sagging. It's like, holy cow, like, what is going on? I was in school at one of the most, I mean, it's a well-known HBCU. I ain't gonna shout out my alumni and say it, but I was in a gym and they had some big old, I mean, defensive tackles. You know what I'm saying? Big old young men. Them dudes was up in there with halter tops on that come down and cover up their little chest with some tights on, flexing in the mirror. I said, "What is going on? This is madness." But that's the confused state we in nowadays, to where man he don't feel no sense of, honoring being a man nor a woman feel that same honor and nurturing and, you know, mothering children, right? That's man, what? That's a blessing. Not saying that's the only thing a woman can do, right? Women can be anything. Like they could be doctors, lawyers. I mean, whatever the case may be, women are brilliant. I was raised by a woman, so men can be great parents also. Like I'm a father myself. I nurture and I love and teach and do all those things to mine. I didn't change Pampers and uh, took care of sick kids and like matter of fact, I always tell my kids I was the first one to come in and there's some black stuff that come out their butt when they first born. I wiped all the black stuff out your butt. So yeah, they trying to confuse us mentally and physically, to where we don't know up from down. And this is not a new thing. This from old time that you know. I mean, thousands upon thousands of years, this type of thought process existed, right? And so there ain't no reason to be overly alarmed, but it seemed to be in my lifetime. I seen it like pick up at a alarming rate, and I can't speak on what happened hundreds of thousands of years ago, but they got writings, you know, all kind of literature that talk about this aspect of people had unnatural things going on, right? And I think with the modern technology and how they able to touch everybody, right? Like, I mean, they able to fool and tinker with just so many different people just by adding and subtracting things from the water, right? And then you look at the food, it's owned by a small group of big entities, right? They might have multiple names, but then when you backtrack who actually owns it, it's just a small group of people. Just like a small group of corporations own the seeds. That's why it's important to get you some non-GMO seeds, right? The GMO, genetically modified organism, right? It is able to grow something with something that plant originally wasn't supposed to grow with, right? Say something like arsenic or cyanide or whatever the chemicals that they spray on it. Where originally, from in the beginning of that plant's life, it would have died if those types of things were put on it. But now that they modified the DNA of it, it could survive with it, and actually it incorporates it into the structure of that vegetable or fruit. So it's actually in there. And your DNA remains constant though, right? And so where it is that thing is bad for you in the past, it's still bad for you today. And and it could change your balances within you, like your testosterone and estrogen levels, right? And that's what separate the men from the women. And so, like I said, you confused in all type of ways, physically, mentally, and that that affect your spiritual walk in this world, right? Because if you don't have a solid foundation in those two things, there's no way you can have a solid spiritual foundation. And so, be vigilant and know that, man, it's a war against you. And God is not the author of confusion. So you need to be aware of that. And it was on my heart, I go through my day, and as I interact with people, the different things that I experience with my family, friends, that's what my foundation for the word that I give you, and it was shocking to find out that these people had this. When they wasn't really shocking because it's like, yeah, I guess I kind of seen that you was high in testosterone. You know what I'm saying? Like the way you move, I could tell, and then you kind of see that you low in t- testosterone because of, like I said, by the way you move, and I find it. I think they probably even then lowered the bar of how much testosterone a man's supposed to have because it's diminishing so much, right? I was in college several years ago, at this point, maybe about 8, 9 years ago, and I was a non-traditional student, meaning like I was already close to 30, already was married, had kids, and going at my degree. But I was You know, I guess I made a whoremongerer, right, in my youth. And to, be in a confined setting, studying on a Friday night, just with some of my younger friends, I couldn't understand why they was doing that because I would have never been doing that at that age at 21, 22. And I was just like, that is kind of weird. I know why I'm doing it. I got a wife and kids. I can't say I was heavy in the faith back then. Uh, I had some knowledge of God, but very little, right? And but the guys, it was only a few guys that really had a drive to go after women. And when I was their age, it was a pretty common thing for I wouldn't say most of the guys around me, but I guess my friends like that was their drive. And then I noticed that these like guys today, they don't really have that drive. They're not even trying to, you know, get themselves a house, cars, so that they'll be able to provide something for the woman. That was kind of like everybody was, trying to make sure they were straight so they could attract a mate, a wife, or what have you. Um, that's why in the scriptures it's so big on not being a adulterer, not fornicating, right? Not lusting after women because that's something that men gonna do, right? Like that's it's kind of why people be like, hey, can you mind covering that up? Because I mean, you see nature, right? The lion go and he kill the other lion just so he can get the pride, and the pride is the women, female lions, the deer he fight. So the carnivore or the herbivore, he fighting for a mate. That's the drive that's within most men when it comes to most men from my day. It's not today. Um, so, but that's gone, right? And that drive, I think, has caused the young men to fail to launch, right? Because now they don't care. They just waste themselves away with the internet, and they don't have no drive to do anything, right? Because that's part of what testosterone is for them to want to go out and seek to get a mate, and so yeah, the world is very, very confusing right now, but it's always been that way. There's nothing new under the sun, right? So just be vigilant. If you're a woman, be a woman. If you're a man, be a man. Keep it plain and simple, right? Peace, love, grace, mercy, patience, courage, and blessings be multiplied onto you.